the exact 10-year anniversary. He was also the primary catcher for R.A. Dickey's Cy Young season with the Mets in 2012. And then, of course, everybody's familiar with skipper Terry Collins. He has managed the most games in team history, 1,134, leading the team from 2011 to 2017. His 551 wins rank second in franchise history, behind only Davey Johnson. He guided the team, of course, to the 2015 NL pennant and became only the second manager to take the team to the playoffs in consecutive years. And then finally, in the middle seat is, of course, Johan Santana, a two-time Cy Young Award winner, four-time All-Star, including 2009 with the Mets, led the league in ERA 3 times, including his first year in New York in 2008. After 8,019 games, he authored the first no-hitter in franchise history, 134-pitch effort, Buck. On June 1st, 2012, versus St. Louis, he struck out David Freese with his signature changeup to end that game that particular night. So with that, I'd like to open it up and have you all ask questions and direct to any of our 3 participants. And with that, before we go to questions, though, Johan, we'll let you kick it off with just some thoughts and the fact, how you feel about the commemoration that's going on.
I just want to say I'm happy to be back after so many years. I'm happy to see these 2 guys here that meant a lot to me while we were here in New York. It's a lot of emotions went through when I drove in, because for so many years I haven't been here. And then, I tried to find Lot G, and I couldn't find it. I didn't know what a Lot G was. And then Jay's telling me what to do. So as you know, Jay, so if he would have told me players parking lot, I would have found it right away. So, and then trying to find my way around on the other side, it's a little bit different, because as a player, you always walking in the hallways and in different rooms and stuff. But to have an opportunity to be back and then for you guys to welcome me back, I really appreciate everything.
Thank you, Johan. Terry, can you offer up a couple of...
Well, it's always great to be back, and certainly with what's going on now, we're all, we're all excited. We're all Mets fans, and we're all excited the way the club's playing. But, to be a part of this, obviously, this guy was without a question, one of the top pitchers in the game for a long time, and I had no idea that night that the Mets did not have a no-hitter pitched. But to sit there and watch him dissect that team, coming from where he came from, which I talked about when the game was over that night, the true story behind it all was what he had to go through to be able to get back to where he was on the mound again, and then to throw a no-hitter just was icing on the cake, and it just explains what kind of a person he is and what a great, tremendous competitor that Johan was. And I've told the story many times, and I don't even know if Johan remembers, but when I was the field coordinator here in spring training, the big club had a road trip, and Jerry Manuel had asked me to take the guys who were back and make sure they had a workout. So we were doing some pitchers drills, and right in the middle of the drill, he stops the drill and tells the other guys, and there was probably 12 or 13 guys, he stops the drill and said, "Hey, if we're going to be out here, let's do it right. Let's just do it right, and then we'll get off the field." And that explains who he is and what he meant in the clubhouse and how he went about his career. And, he did it right. And I just wish he would have did it right in 107 pitches instead of 130 pitches. But it was certainly fun to watch and fun to witness. And I think about it all the time. I've had some nightmares, but I've had some good dreams too.
Thank you, Terry. Josh?
Hey, listen, let me tell you something. Better memories than that one, okay?
Yeah, okay.
So you're going to have better sleep from now on. Don't worry about it. It's past, and we're here, and then nobody's going to take that away from us, okay? Sure. So that's the best thing about the whole thing. So you tranquilo, amigo.
Right. Dan says it wasn't even 134 because there was 2 intentional passes, so now we can start subtracting.
Do the math.
But anyways, I'm excited to be back as well. I can't believe it's been 10 years. To echo a little bit what Terry said, like this right here is the ultimate teammate, and I think the players inside that room, that's the best compliment you can really have. I mean, the accolades speak for themselves, but what he did in that room for everybody is obviously more important. But as Terry said as well, like we're all Mets fans. I got my 3 kids here; they're all Mets fans, so we're excited to be back. It's crazy that it was 10 years. So here we are, and we're all fired up for this evening's event. So thanks to the Mets for having me as well.
Thank you, Josh. Let's go to Steve. We'll let you lead us off again.
So, I mean, Terry just mentioned, you said you didn't know that the Mets hadn't had a no-hitter prior to that night. Johan, were you aware that the Mets hadn't had a no-hitter? And as time went on, whether it was the days afterwards, months, years, just when did you fully understand how much it meant to this fan base and this organization?
No, I mean, I knew that after so many years there were, great pitchers that played, but I didn't know that there was never been a no-hitter thrown. And then as we were going through the whole thing, it started getting all excited, and the atmosphere changes through the whole field. And as we were going, I was like, maybe this is it. We may have a chance to do something very special, very important. Every time I took the mound, every time, I was very serious about what I was doing. And that night, it was not any different. And then it just happened to be that night. And then I feel very blessed to have the opportunity to be the first one. But earlier in my years, I didn't know.
Ian, right behind.
Terry, obviously hindsight being 2020 and knowing what you know now, would you make the same decision with Johan all over again? And if not, why not?
Well, I would make the same decision. Even that night when you're on the bench and you're saying you didn't like the looks of the pitch counts, and I was only concerned about his health more than anything else. But I felt that he deserved the opportunity to try to get it because of who he is and what he stands for, and it was something I thought the people that were in the stands and Johan talked about it. They deserve to see that, have the opportunity, and so it's easy to say no, I wouldn't do it again because I know that it probably hurt him a little bit afterwards because of throwing that many pitches, but I have come to realize that I probably would have done exactly the same thing.
Ed?
Johan, over here. Hi. Had you ever thrown any no-hitters at any level prior to that night? Or
Video
come
games.
close?
In video games. No, I never had opportunity to do anything. I threw like a one-hitter and like a two-hitter, but I never had opportunity to throw a no-hitter. No, never.
Andy?
Johan, you hear Terry talk about how stressful that was for him. I was wondering if you knew that at the time, what he was going through, not wanting to do any harm to you. And Terry, you just said, even still now you think maybe that hurt Johan down the line. Do you believe that, Johan? I know there's no way to maybe know for sure, but do you believe that pitch count had that result?
I tell you, you have to go back to the year before, as I was recovering from that surgery. A lot of question marks because we didn't know. The medical staff was very optimistic that everything was going to be fine, but the reality was that my surgery was something different than what you see out there. It was not just a tendon. It was not just a rotator cuff. It was a capsule. It's a ligament that is not replaceable. You can replace that ligament in the shoulder. And maybe that will give you guys a better idea of what was going on with me. So every game, they need a feedback. And that's why we had the trainers and everybody. And then I told them from the beginning, as the season was going, that I didn't feel 100%. I felt like something was loose, but I was able to battle through it. And then the thing was, if you guys remember, we were contending. We were like right there. And then me and RA were doing a great job. And the whole pitching staff, the whole team, we had a run. And then we were doing the 1-2, So you take that approach every single time. I wasn't thinking about tomorrow. I was thinking about today. That's how I approach every single outing. And the thing is, as we were going through the season, everything was working pretty good. But to say that game was the one, that's why I always said to you guys, no, because I already knew that it was a lot going on through my shoulder. In fact, there was a limit that we have in innings for the season, and I reached my limit, or I was gonna reach my limit pretty soon to that game, you know. So, but at that point, we're just competing, and we had a great run. That I didn't change anything.
All right. Go to Howie in the back.
Hey, Johan, good to see you again.
See you, man.
What was your breaking point? You know, for all the talk about how badly you wanted the no-hitter and the pitch count rising, you know, you're behind Freeze 3-0 with 2 out, runs it to 3-2. If you walked him, do you have anything left in the tank, or were you just staying out there until you gave up a hit if it took 160 pitches?
That was my mentality then. You know, I knew I was going to have some arguments with him, you know, on the mound and the dugout and the parking lot, whatever you want to call it, you know. But I just had an opportunity to do something very special, and then I just want you to finish it. At that point and prior to that last inning, you know, I knew my speed wasn't there. It was just a lot of changeups. I was able to throw the right pitch at the right time. That's basically what it was. And as confident as I was with my fastball, I was even more confident with my changeup when I threw it. So to me, 3-2, 3-0, it didn't matter. You know, it was a matter of confidence to throw that pitch, and that's what I did. I just threw 3 changeups, and I was able to get him out.
And Terry, you mentioned that you hadn't known prior to the game that there hadn't been a no-hitter here. Did you find out mid-game as he was approaching it that, hey, this franchise hasn't had one yet?
Yeah, Danny told me during the game. He said, you know, nobody's ever pitched a no-hitter. And I said, you know, when you think Seaver and Doc, and those guys, Coney, nobody's pitched a no-hitter here. And all of a sudden that became part of it, how that became part of the thought process. You know, here's a guy that's got a chance to do it. And, you know, as I've said before, and I thought he deserved that opportunity to go and get it. Obviously today, I probably wouldn't even consider it. But, you know, at that particular time, he deserved that chance. And I'll tell you, you know, he's not here, but, you know, Mike Baxter had a big part of that. And you know, I hope tonight that, you know, when Johan's out there, that somebody makes sure that, you know, that was a tremendous play that Mike made. And you know, you talk about a guy who sacrificed himself. I don't know if he ever bounced back from that injury, did he? I mean, no. It was pretty serious. And it just tells you the thought process, like Johan talked about, the thought process on the entire club. Hey, you throw it over the plate, you're going to get it, you know, we're going to catch it. And so there was a lot of pieces to that whole thing.
Wayne?
Really for Terry or Johan, you know, in the last 10 years, pitchers have come out earlier and earlier in no-hit bids, 5 innings, 6 innings. I think Corbin Burns came out after 8 innings of no-hit baseball one time last year. Do you guys cringe at all at that and feel like pitchers should push to try to get those kinds of moments?
You know, the game has changed for sure, you know, but you still have to throw, you still have to catch it, you still have to hit it. The game still... The essence of the game is the same. The way you play is different. You know, you have specialists now that will have one batter, a lefty, 1 inning set up. Even they pitch the other way around. They have closers starting games and stuff. So I think at the end of the day, they worry about that W more than a no-hitter, and that's the way it is. So to get a single performance like that, it's going to take, I don't know, some time, the right guy. But I think that's what I said to you guys when we talk about the whole thing. I say we as a team. Because even though I was the one who shows up in the record, we did it as a team. And then when you have a combined no-hitter or something like that, it's a we. It's a team. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. You know, the game I believe in evolution, and things will change, and then things will update, improve, and that's what it's heading. Then it is what it is. People will adjust to it.
Jerry?
Kind of follow up on that. What were you guys thinking as you're watching last month when the Mets have the combined no-hitter? Were you guys watching the game? And what were you thinking as either you watched it or as you heard about the next morning? And if you had a chance to talk to any of the guys who were part of that at the end of April?
I actually didn't watch the game. I was getting a bunch of messages that we're all chopped liver now, now that there's a second one. But it's exciting. We did a little was a podcast or a thing, and we were talking about it of like in baseball, our goal is to win the World Series, right? But there's personal accolades that come along with this territory, and I think it's great. I think it's great for every one of those, every one of the guys that threw it, and I believe James McCann caught the game. Like it's just a feather in your cap, if you will. It's something you'll never be able to take away from any of those guys. So they'll always have that. It'll go on their little record sheet, and I think it's important for the organization as well as it's important for the players.
Well, they're hard. I mean, throw no hitter's hard. You know, there's good players out there. You know, to have 5 guys do it, I think it's great. But to have one guy do it, you know, or he's got it, you know, and you're talking about a guy who's getting tired. The adrenaline, obviously, is going to carry you through some of it. But late in the game, you got to execute like something special, which he did. And I just think, you know, I thought it was great. I watched the game. I was very excited at the end of the game. I mean, each guy that seemed like they brought in threw the next guy threw better than the guy before. They just kept, but you know, to have one guy do it, and it is, I mean, that's hard. That is really hard. And not only that, against a good hitting team too.
Okay, Andy, we'll come across to you.
Josh and Johan, you guys both accomplished a lot in the game, and then you, over the years subsequent to this no-hitter, kept coming back, and you were both in spring training with different clubs, and you were with the Yankees as recently as 2020. Like, what is it about being an athlete in the sport that made you guys want to stay until you couldn't basically do it anymore? Was it just wanting to make sure you were done? Was it something about wanting to play and not wanting to give that up? Or you guys both just kind of kept going.
My thought process when I was rehabbing, trying to come back to the game, I just wanted to retire in my own terms. You know, to know that that was my last game, my last pitch, and to have my family around to see that. That's basically what it was. You know, like I said many times, I don't regret anything that I did on the field, because every time I took the mound, I gave my best. Whether I had it, don't have it, you know, I didn't have it, I gave everything I had. So to me, it was a matter of trying to come back to see if I can do it on my own terms. And unfortunately, it didn't happen, but I do know 100% that I tried my best to come back.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, again, you get to a spot where the other guy on the mound is just that much better than you, and it's like I wasn't able to hit 100. Not that I ever could, but nobody ever threw 100 until these last few years. So it became much more challenging. But it's the competitiveness in us that we keep going, and you keep fighting. You try to find your way onto a roster, and that's what I did until really the end of the COVID year. I mean, that was it. And the guys were getting bigger, stronger, faster, and I was doing the opposite. So that's why I'm here.
All right. Gentlemen, Terry, Johan, Josh, thank you very much for helping us relive and share this special night, and appreciate